About 6 months ago, I was working for minimum wage at a restaurant. Now I flip used iPhones full time and make $10,000 a month in profit on my own terms. This video is gonna be my story. I was the guy who saved up $1,000 and didn't know what he wanted to do to turn it into more money. I know way too many people that are in that exact same situation. So this video is gonna be proof that you can turn that $1,000 into more. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So to start, I should give you a little bit of backstory. Personally, I'm a failed hooper.
I've been up so far somewhere, stuck at the top, and there's nowhere to go. I was just thinking like, damn, I get a new drop, so I could circle. Really all you did was plot. I gave you the plans and brands and all the juice, and really all you did was flop. Never sleep.
I didn't really get competitive until my senior year. That's when I started to take basketball pretty seriously. The whole summer, I worked on my game like a madman. There were days where I worked so hard, I came home, slept on the sofa for 10 minutes just to get up, get back out on the road, and head to another workout. The summer ended up giving me so much results though. Like, I can't even start to explain to you guys how much better I got in the span of 1 year just by working out relentlessly. But that's the type of person I am. Once I lock in and focus on something for an extended period of time, I inevitably get good. And that was my exact situation with basketball. My senior year, up to that point, I had never won anything, tournament, state, nothing. But my senior year, I won MVP for my squad. I was all conference, I was all tournament, I was all tournament team, second team all state. Like, I had the whole shebang. And even after all that hard work, I only had one offer coming out of high school from a Division III in my state. Now at this point, I'm thinking all I really need is a platform, because my work ethic will really just kind of translate to wherever I go, and I'll make the best of whatever situation I'm put in. So I go to this D3, even though I didn't really like the campus, like the environment, I didn't really like anything about the school. But I went to this D3 anyways, thinking that I could make something out of nothing and that my game would do the talking, and all I needed was to just keep my head down for this year and everything will work out after that. Needless to say, through the fall, I was sticking to that plan pretty well, I'm not gonna lie. And I actually ended up in the perfect situation, because that year my senior point guard got hurt. And I'm not saying that because I wish injuries on any of my teammates. Like, I love my senior point guard to death. I told him, like, I look up to you and I'm really trying to learn from you this season, but he ended up getting hurt and the door was wide open for me to perform as a freshman point guard. The coach had even brought me into his office on a couple of different occasions because I was playing well in pickup on what might possibly be a valuable role for me on the team, since we didn't have our senior point guard. However, unfortunately that fall, I ended up spraining my ankle, but it was a super bad sprain, not just like a little tweak. I ended up having severe ligament damage in my ankle, and I honestly haven't been the same since that injury. I think I came back in like a month and a half, but I wasn't 100%. The mobility in my ankle was fried, and honestly, altogether, I wasn't moving the same, I wasn't as fast, and I had to rely a lot more on skill. And granted, since I couldn't move the same, I got a lot better as a point guard, learning the game IQ-wise in a very short amount of time, but the fact that I couldn't keep up with these college athletes really just kind of fried me mentally and physically. I ended up finishing the rest of the season on that bum ankle. I barely got any minutes, and you could kind of see how disappointed I was about the whole thing. Despite having good stretches of practices every now and then, I could never stack enough days for the coach to actually trust me enough to get on the court, even if I had a good practice here and there. And overall, my attitude was very poor throughout the whole thing. The thing about college sports, which is a lot different from high school sports, is that you're very exchangeable. Nothing is given in college just because you played hard or had a good practice. You're not entitled to any time on the floor, no matter how many days you stack. It's up to the coach. I didn't know that coming in. I wasn't prepared for that coming in. And when I had 4 or 5 good days of practice, I'm expecting for me to play on the weekend. And after not playing on the weekends, I honestly just felt like F the whole thing. My teammates felt that, my coaches felt that, and overall I was ready to kind of move on to the next situation. Now, I'm ready to move on to the next situation. I'm thinking I'm going to part ways with my coach at the end of the season, but the coach was already prepared to part ways with me. So before I could even schedule my meetup with the coach saying, look, I don't want in on this anymore, he called me into his office and said, look, we don't want you in on this anymore. And since I didn't have any practice film and I hadn't played any college minutes, I just kind of thought to myself, well, this whole thing is just kind of pointless. And up to this point, basketball has been my passion, it's been my heart, it's been my soul. So it felt like that just kind of got stripped of me, and I went through like a mental spiral. I wasn't going to class, I was sleeping in all day. My grades started to plummet. None of my friends were seeing me. I was literally just in my room all day playing video games, eating Chick-fil-A. I went to the gym at nights. That was kind of like my therapy, but that's really all I did. I didn't do anything else. So I finished out that school year with like F's across the board, and it pretty much fried my chances of getting into like a fun 4 year, since I wasn't going to play basketball anymore. My grades weren't good enough. So now I don't have any basketball. I'm thinking the only thing that I really have an option to do is make money. So now it's time to get a job. But as you guys know, the job market right now is insanely tough, and the only way you get hired doing anything is really if you know anybody. All the places that say they're hiring aren't hiring. So I apply and I apply and I apply to all these different places. Couldn't get a job until I finally got connected to work at this restaurant. This is my first job and I'm a waiter at this restaurant. So I basically got connected and put on, and now I work at this restaurant. Since my grades were so bad, I also enrolled in community college to try to fix things so that I could at least get into a regular, normal, and fun 4-year, and I don't have to spend the rest of my time at community college. Because if there's anything about the school that I went to my freshman year, is I felt like I got robbed of the college experience. I didn't go to any parties. All I did was hoop, and hoop wasn't even any fun. So I wanted to at least go somewhere where I had the opportunity to meet nice girls and cool guys and go out to parties and do stuff like that. And I for sure wasn't going to do that at a community college, so this was basically me trying to fix everything. So at this point, I'm working the job and I'm going to school at community college. Now, working the job was sorry on my end because I barely got any hours. I think I was working Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and I was working from like 3 to 10. And if you guys know anything about waiters, we're paid minimum wage and most of our money comes from tips. And at the end of the day, my demeanor and my character as a whole, I'm not cut out to be a waiter. I wouldn't say it's because I'm an asshole, but waiters are meant to be bubbly, very do what you ask and as quick as possible. That's just not how I am. I'm not bubbly, and I'm gonna do what I want when I want to. I hope that doesn't come off as a cocky or disrespectful thing, but I'm gonna do things at my own pace and you're not gonna push me around. But in my experience, that's all being a waiter was. Your table gets upset, you have to come running. Your table needs this, you have to come running. And that just overall wasn't my vibe, so I wasn't really getting tipped like that. My bi-weekly checks were maybe like $200 to $300 max. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I can't make any money in this situation. I have to figure out something else. So now I start going into, I need to start researching side hustles. So I would finish my schoolwork, get off work, and I'm researching different side hustles, trying to figure out how I can make some more money, because $300 in community college, that's not enough. That's just not going to cut it for me. So I'll never forget it. On August 8th, 2024, I watched a video of this guy, Christian. If you're in the phone flipping space, you know who that is. But I watched his series on $1,000 to $10,000 flipping iPhones, and it inspired me to basically just start flipping phones. I thought to myself, this is super relatable. I have some money saved up, and when I get $1,000, I'm going to start doing this. And that's exactly what I did, because around that time, I think I had $1,000 saved exactly. So I found that YouTube video and I was prepared to basically just start flipping phones, and that was going to be my hustle. So now I'm flipping phones, doing school, and working as a waiter. When I first started flipping phones, it was kind of trash. I think I lost money on my first couple of buys, but I remember one particular flip where I flipped an iPhone 12 and I made $80 profit. And I thought to myself, that's more than I make in 2 days of work. So at this point, I kind of switch into a hustler. I'm constantly scrolling for deals on Marketplace, trying to find good deals to make more money. I see that you're normally averaging $100 to $150 profit per phone. I want to see more of that, because that's more than I make in a day, in a week at my job. And around that time, if you know anything about the phone flipping space, that fall to winter period is jumping. Like, people are posting phones left and right and stuff is getting sold. It's a pretty hot period that time. So I'm buying and selling a lot of stuff just on Marketplace alone, and I'm seeing the most money I've seen up to this point. I think over the course of 4 or 5 weeks, I made $1,500. So my phone flipping is pretty much clearing my job money, since I don't make that much with my job already. So now I'm really, really interested in phone flipping. And I never forget it. In the midst of all this, my family had took a trip to Vegas. I had brought my laptop with me, intending to do schoolwork while we were in Vegas, but I also brought my phone flipping money with me just in case I wanted to make some buys while I was out there. It was maybe a little over $2,000, but again, I'm working for $7-8 an hour. I've never had that type of money before, and phone flipping got me this money. Vegas was the most fun and crazy experience. It just, like, I didn't do a lick of schoolwork while I was out there. And when I thought about school, just to backtrack a little bit, the courses that I'm in are Gen Ed. These are basically like the most basic of the basic transfer courses. So I'm in like English 101, I'm in Algebra 1, and I graduated with like a 3.7 taking calculus. So at this point, I feel like this college stuff is just under me. So on this Vegas vacation, after experiencing all this fun stuff and spending money that I got from my own business, I closed my laptop and I never looked at it again. My parents thought I was in school, but I wasn't in school at all. My focus had completely left the academic space, and I was 100% zeroed in on getting to this money. Sorry. So I'm still buying and selling phones on Marketplace, and it's working out okay for me. This is the most money that I've seen. Now I'm buying and selling so many phones that I actually ended up running into my first private buyer. I got scammed for an iPhone 15. The guy said that it was going to be perfect condition, but it ended up having a cracked back glass, and I was so mad that I listed it on Marketplace for somewhere around market value. And my first private buyer reached out to me and was like, yo, I want to get this from you. We had negotiated on the price a little bit, but he agreed to my price if I brought it to his shop. His shop was like 30 minutes away from me. At this point in my phone flipping career, I'm driving like an hour and a half each way to make $100 profit. So 30 minutes at this point in my life felt like a 5-minute drive. I agree. So I bring the phone by his shop, and at this point, like I said, I'm a hustler, so I keep all of my phones in my backpack backpack with me. I think I had like 10 or 11 phones at the time, but I just brought them all with me just in case he wanted to buy anything else. I'm a hustler. So I sell him the iPhone 15. He asked if I have any other stock on hand. Hallelujah. And I do. So I show him everything I have, and he basically made a bunch of phone calls left and right and got all my stuff sold the same day. I walked out of there with like $3,000. Most cash I've ever had in my hand up to this point. So now I'm thinking in my head like, oh my God, this guy buys phones at set prices. Now all I need to do is get more phones. So now it's become a very simple equation for me of this guy buys phones. If I have phones, I'm going to make money. And if my margins don't change, I'm going to make a lot of it. So now with this very weak system I had in place, I was ready to double down on the whole thing since I was already making like 3 or 4 times what I was making in my job. So that's exactly what I did. I quit my job and I doubled down on getting phones from Marketplace and selling them to the direct buyer. This is like in the heat of when the 16 Pro Max comes out. So a lot of phones are getting sold on Marketplace and I'm making like 3 or 4K a month probably. I spent that whole period from September all the way to like January just buying phones from Marketplace, sourcing phones on Marketplace, driving all over my state and bringing them all back to my direct buyer shop. But over time, I started to realize that I was kind of being a little bit delusional. Like, granted, I wasn't having anybody tell me what to do, but I'm driving all over the state of North Carolina for $50, $100 profit at a time and hauling them all back to my direct buyer shop. And like, these are like in 2 opposite directions. So I spent most of my time on the road. I was running up miles in my car, always having to put gas in my car. And over time, I started to realize that I really didn't have like a system in place to make any real money. So now I'm kind of in the area where I found a little bit of a hustle, but I haven't found any real motion. So now I just kind of need to make everything more strategic. And that became my New Year's resolution, was to turn this thing into a full-time business. Now for New Year's, my parents actually did end up finding out that I hadn't been going to school at all and that I pretty much flunked out. My parents were upset with me like every day or every other day, and it was just a bunch of arguments in the house because I didn't want to go to school and I wanted to make money. At first, my mom thought I was selling weed, but when she saw me come in with little $2,000 and $3,000, she was like, you can't just hustle your whole life. Like, you need to get a degree. You need to get some schooling so you can get a job and a career and all this other stuff. At this point, I can pretty much feel the paranoia in the air of my parents thinking that I'm pretty much going to be a failure, like a bum. That I had dropped out of school and I thought I was going to make money hustling and flipping these phones every now and then. So that was my New Year's resolution, was to turn this thing into a full-time business and not just prove them or anybody else wrong, but prove myself right, that I can really scale and be successful in whatever I choose. That I wasn't just going to be a failed hooper turned hustler, that I actually had some skill and some brains to me to scale this business into something that was making more than the average person. So I guess you could say from then on, phone flipping became my motion. I stayed up into the wee hours of the night researching how to get better at this business, and slowly it started piecing together for me. I started running some paid marketing for my business. I was running picture advertisement. This took me from like 2 to 3K in profit to making 4K in profit a month, like consistently. But I wanted to do more. I wanted to be making 5 figures a month consistently with this business, and that's exactly what I did the month after that. I switched up my marketing a little bit. I went from running picture advertisement to video ads saying that I pay cash for phones in my local area. It was a little bit of a camera fear that I had to get over because now all my friends and everybody is seeing the ad, and this is going to be my brand. People are going to see this and they're going to think that this is who I am, and now I'm kind of on stage for being a phone flipper. But the more money I made, the less I cared. The very first month I ran my video ad, I made 8K in profit, and that was in April. I'm having a lot of people interact with my ad, and all my friends are starting to see the ad. I had some people comment laughing, other people text me the video ad trolling. But when you're making 8 to 10K a month, do you really care? I had to change my shirt real quick, y'all boys. Chill. But back to the story. At this point, most of my city is seeing my ad, and I pretty much built a brand of being an iPhone buyer in my area. I go to the gym and play basketball with my old friends from high school, and they call me the phone man, just trolling me. But at the end of the day, this thing was really scary for me, gang. I'm not gonna lie. Taking a chance on this business was scary, especially since my name has been playing basketball. Basketball was my heart and soul for as long as I can remember. And to take my first ever hard-earned $1,000 and invest it into a business that nobody close to me knows about or has ever even done before, I'm not gonna say that it was easy. But what I will say is I believed in myself throughout the whole time. The start of this business also got me started on a financial literacy path, wanting to learn more about business and how I can make my money work for me. And looking back on it, I think I'm pretty grateful that I started off working for $7 an hour and not making like 25. The fact of the matter was that my checks were so small that I had to get creative and figure out ways to make more money. If I would have gotten a warehouse job for like $25 an hour, I probably would have never started this business. And I also probably would have still been thinking that money is in direct correlation to how hard you work and not how creative you can be. So what started as trying to make a couple extra bucks has now turned into a full-fledged me versus me and how much money can I make this next month. Every goal I ever dreamed of became possible, and it all started with this business. My goal isn't to be the richest man in the world, but I want to retire my parents and take care and provide for the people that I care about. Phone flipping has set me on that track in a matter of 3 months of hard work. Never in a million years did I think that my first 5-figure month would come from flipping used devices, but things happen and things change. Now, I really wanted to make this video because there are a lot of people in that situation where they have $1,000 and don't know what to do with it. That was me for the longest time, and since I wasn't somebody that was just getting money like that, I really didn't want to let go of that $1,000 and didn't know how to turn it into more. But speaking from experience, this business has turned that $1,000 into something that I could have never imagined. It's not like any of these other side hustles where you have to put in a ton of upfront capital to see your first win. If I made a smart purchase, the second I sold that phone, it was more money in my bank account. I was already in profit. So now it just becomes a matter of, can I rinse and repeat this process over and over again to make more money? And I've gotten so good that I've had back-to-back 5-figure months, and we're only going up from here. So I appreciate you guys sticking to the end of this video. This is basically my story of how I got into phone flipping and how I'm continuing to scale my business. Now, if you do want one-on-one help from me and my business partner scaling your business to like 5, 7, even 10K a month like me, you just click the first link in the description. It's basically just a couple videos explaining how the program works, where you can book a call and we'll see if you're a good fit for the program and if we can help you. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you can. This has been my story on how I got into phone flipping, and I can't wait to hear y'all's. It's been Ace, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.